What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the garage, and I'm still having audio issues, if you can imagine that. There we go. Gotta mute this screen. What up, Schmidt? Okay, we're back. It's another Thursday. Welcome to the number one live show in all the known universe. What up, Cole? Hey, John. Christopher. What is going on? So I've been out of town this week. Just got back last night, so I have nothing. You guys better have something. Better have lots of good questions. Well, CJ, PNW, another Chris. John, we're here every Thursday night, 8 Eastern. About every Thursday night. 75% of the time, I would say we're here. I'm generally online. So, hey, Pepe. What is everybody going on? Waiting on Amazon to deliver my battery-powered socket wrench. Battery-powered socket wrench. Which one did you get, Schmidt? And another Chris. So many Chris's. Hello, Sean. Christopher Schaefer says, what is the reason for the Goat Rope Garage name? I'm from Oklahoma. A goat rope is a situation where anything that can go wrong will go wrong. Thus, the Goat Rope Garage. 20 volts, man. That ought to neutral drop some nuts. What up, Andrew? Jesus says, I've been having issues with my idle and keeping the AC on when the compressor comes to a stop. Idle adapters kick in and turning off the compressor. So, are you saying wherever the adapters kick in, your idle shoots up high enough that it goes out of the idle circuit? Does that seem like what's going on? Hey, Danny and Danny. Got a couple Dannys. Not quite as many Chris's. 60 foot-pounds of torque for a handheld ratchet. That should get some work done. I'd see a bunch of smashed fingers. Cacao! Starting to tune on my car, 2004 Monte Carlo 3.8. Hey, Mike. RPM goes low. So, Jesus, you want to check your idle air flow? What year are you on? I mean, it's going to be dependent on whether or not you're using an idle air control valve or if it's drive-by-wire. 2004, probably drive-by-wire. So your idle airflow final needs to make sure that it's not too low. Yeah. So if you go in and look at your dynamic or MAF airflow at idle and see it's probably reading like 80, 90 pounds per hour, but your idle airflow table is probably around 50 to 60. And so it's trying to get it down to that set point. And then whenever the AC is cycling, it's causing it to drop out. So, changing plugs on my Caddy isn't fun. Manual wrench. Yeah. Dude, it'll change your life, Schmidt. Got the wideband installed. Has some MAF only time, all thanks to your guidance. Down day in a few weeks. Awesome, Chris. Glad to hear it. What's the lowest low side fuel pressure I should watch for? On a DI motor? Man, I don't know. if it's... I'd say probably 40 psi. If your low side pressure goes down, your high side pressure goes down, which then means that your injector duty cycle has to go up to compensate. So by raising your pressure up, starting at low side, you can raise your high side up and then lower your duty cycle. Mess with the trans table on a F-150 2018. No, I have not, Chase. Thanks, Rob. Welcome to the live show. Schmidt asked a good question at idle. How stable should timing be? Mine jumps a few degrees each way and looks like a sawtooth. So even on the, he's on a torque-based platform, which is a little different. But even on the older stuff, listen, it still uses idle for fast idle, or spark for fast idle correction. And so it's not abnormal to see the idle jump Why is my phone going crazy over here? It's not crazy to see, and I dropped my phone on the floor, which made the dog go crazy, to see timing to jump back and forth to maintain idle. Now, as you get a cam in there that's more aggressive, you can kind of blow out the dead zone unless you're on a 5th gen ECU. Then you're kind of stuck on torque. Yeah, 49 should be fine, Matt. Or Danny. Matt S. Need to tune my custom 07 Suburban, put an L92 on with Chuck Norris cam with HP tuners. Let me do everything. Yes, it will. Yes, it will, Matt. I'm doing the FR error through the EGR, but I don't know how to set up on HP tuners. So, John, wherever you bring it in through EGR, you're going to bring it in as a voltage. You'll have to go through and set up custom math based on the scaling for whatever wideband you're using. It should say in the manual how to convert voltage over to a reading. Create that custom math and then bring in that EGR voltage as your input, apply the math to it, and then output it as AFR lambda based on what your gauge is showing. It's got 6L8090 tuning tips for street strip, man. Honestly, Danny, short is just kind of like bumping the base pressures up and maybe lowering the shift time a little bit. Not a whole lot there. What up, TJ? I'll set to 600, but only jumps from 600 to 625. Pretty stable. It's probably doing what it's supposed to do, Schmidt. It's probably doing what it's supposed to. So, you know, it's the fast reaction, so things like IAC or throttle position doesn't have to make a bunch of adjustments to maintain a stable idle RPM. If the idle RPM is pretty stable, then I would just, yeah, exactly. Commander Shepard, I agree with everything he said. I have a 2007 GMC Sierra Flex Fuel and looking for a good programmer. Any suggestions? As in a tuner or interface? Obviously, I'm going to say HP tuners. For a specific tuner, do your research, man. I don't keep up that much with other tuners. I know more bad tuners than I would say good tuners because I don't hear about good tuners. I hear more about bad tuners because I'm having to fix their stuff. No, it's sketchy talking on here. Can I delete a diesel for off-roading purposes? I mean, you can do whatever you want as long as you think you can get away with it. But theoretically, technically, by the letter of the law, yeah, you should be able to delete it for off-roading purposes. Just can't use it on public roads. Getting ready to try my Chinese low buck Amazon standalone LS wiring harness. Wish me luck. Did you put yours in yet? I have not. So come back and update me, PMW. Let me know if you ran into any issues with it, you know, and what those issues were. Bad connections, you know, wire stuff like that. John, you're going to have to get a computer, man. Can't do it without a computer. Yeah, Rob, I don't know. Do a search, and then if you find tuners in your area, do a search on them and see what kind of feedback's out there. So if there's not a lot of feedback, that's not necessarily a bad thing. But if there's a lot of negative feedback, obviously stay away. And if you have a way of asking people in the car community around your area who they go to, like, that helps. TJ just grabbing these 6.6s. Where are you getting all these new 6.6 liter gas motors from? They just wrecking these new work trucks down there or something? Is there a quick way to clear how to permanent codes besides an SPS flash? Yeah, if it'll say permanent current if it's current. If it's permanent, it just means that it's set and it's not gotten enough drive cycles. So, no, there's short of fixing the problem to get rid of the permanent. The only other way is do an SPS flash and basically download a factory tune on there and then make sure and get those codes disabled. Thanks, Brad. No, I got rid of the GTO a while back. Right now I've got the Typhoon, the Nova, and the Viper. Is there a way I can get a hold of you without being on here? Yeah, go through the website, and probably the best way is check out our Patreon. There's a link on the website. I don't know yet, Schmidt. I'll be honest with you. Right now, the work is going in. Hey, Jake H., thank you for the super chat. I'll get to your question here in a second. Right now, the work is going to be on the Nova. So I've got to do the gear vendors on there. I've got the new manifold. Wilson Manifold just called me today, said they are finished doing the EFI conversion on it. And so we're going to be doing some stuff on the Smoke Monster. Get it back in the garage soon. And I got to figure out this shake on the Typhoon. I've got an idea. I might get some work done on the Typhoon this weekend and update you guys next week. Getting a check engine light for 2 codes related to knock sensor issues. HP Tuner says no code. Snap-on shows the 2 codes. Any idea if I'm doing something wrong? That's odd that HP Tuners would show no codes, Joel. But the Snap-on does. Other than the Snap-on can scan more modules than HP Tuners. HP Tuners really only scans the PCM and TCM for the most part. So there could be a plethora of codes, but if it's a knock sensor, HP Tuners should be getting it. That's very interesting. What are the codes if you know them off the top of your head? Okay, JKH asks, 01 F-body, P59 ECU swapped and LS3 swapped using LS3 knock sensors. What all should I change in the knock sensor tab in HP Tuners besides sensor type? I would go in straight off with like a look at C6 LS3 setup, something like that, and copy that stuff over, specifically because if you look underneath your knock sensors, this is a Mustang, a lot of the knock sensor settings per cylinder is based on the motor, and so that obviously is going to be different. So yeah, dude, dang, I got rid of the Corvette a long time ago. Guys, I get rid of cars left and right. I'm keeping everything I've got right now. That kind of answer your question, Jake? Also got knock sensor bank 2, circuit gem 4. Knock sensor bank 2, Jonathan. I would, if it's pending, it should go away. As long as it's not current. Dude, this manifold's going to be gorgeous. I need to order a new Smoke Monster sweatshirt because I put on a couple of pounds. My old one fits a little bit tight. Met a guy on auction on eBay. That's how I bought my first one. When I picked it up, he was pretty nice. Man, I don't need anything right now, but I'm interested on these 6.6s. Are they DI? Are they still port? And if they're DI, are you going to convert it over to port injection? Dude, John, if you live closer, I'd just load up my Cutlass and bring it to you and pay you to work on it. Can you explain what the deal is with the FSCM on Gen 4 LS? What needs them, what doesn't? My L92 had one from the factory. The 6 I put in didn't have one. My buddy's 5.3 didn't. Okay. That's a good question. I don't know what needs them and what doesn't. It's essentially... all it is a fuel pump control module, and it's set there to maintain a certain fuel pressure on the returnless systems. And it'll work with anything, and you can make anything work without it. So it's kind of one of those things. If I were doing a swap, I'd probably ditch it and go over. Especially if I were doing a swap and doing a return system. You definitely don't need it with a fuel return system. But if you're staying on a returnless fuel system, all they're going to do is keep the fuel from heating up because they're only going to demand as much fuel as you need to maintain pressure at the at the rails, as opposed to having a regulator that's, controlling all that. Both P codes from the PCM, and HP Tuners is not reading them. Yeah, Jake, as I said, pay attention to the individual cylinder gain underneath the knock sensor table, because that's where you want to start. You probably have to do some adjustments, some desensitizing on the knock sensors still, but that individual cylinder gain for a LS3 is going to be your best bet, because it's going to be more dialed in for the acoustics of the engine with that bore stroke combination, if that makes sense. Of course, Danny, thanks for watching, man. We got a lot of new faces in here tonight, and I love it. Do you know how to adjust throttle pedal delay on a drive-by-wire setup? It's going to be a demand table, and depending on what generation that you're on, it'll be under airflow electronic throttle, or later generation stuff, it'll be under torque management. And then I can't remember off the top of my head which, but there'll be not the first tab, but the second tab. There'll be demand tables there. Just be careful about upping the throttle response below like 15%, or else you can get runaway throttle. And yeah, be careful. Yeah, I figured you'd be converting it to port. That's what I'd do. Oh, sweet. Tech works on the swap. Jonathan Blunt's got a trans swap. Using 1415 for the high-low and the tack, and heard you can use 1515. Corvette flash fix the output. That's awesome, man. That's what I like to hear. Ah, sweet. That's what, Brad, HB Tuners will be happy to hear that my videos are steering people towards their platform. But I am glad to see all the new fresh faces come out every Thursday, you guys. It's a fun time. It's basically a 30-minute long episode of Stump the Chump, and people just throw stuff at me, and I see if I can figure things out. So on my 07 Suburban, should I 5.3 flex fuel computer on the 6.2 out the donor Yukon? 07 the 6.2 ECU should support flex fuel, so you shouldn't need to do the computer. You should, in fact, they're going to be the same computer, depending on what year the Yukon was. But they're probably both E38s or whatever, Matt. One of the mechanics at my shop used to run a NOS 454. He just schooled Mr. Unplug Gap. Yeah. Now I'm running 65 gap. That seems huge. But if it runs good. I like to run a decent sized gap until I start boosting it. Then I start squeezing it down, and I have a tendency to over squeeze them. People are like, you don't need to run them that tight. And I'm like, I'm getting good ignition as long as you're not getting breakup. Shouldn't I be able to change the virtual torque tables on HP tuners? 2013, you don't need to 4X Silverado, because that's the old school style Gen 4 stuff, but you should still be able to change it. I'm not sure why you wouldn't be able to change it. I can test something. Here, I'll bring up the whiteboard so you guys can see what I'm doing here. Oh, nope. Open Sesame, let's see, 2013 Tahoe stock, close enough. Virtual torque's over here, let me drag it over. Boop. Okay, so that worked. I wonder if you put it in basic, if it won't work. Why do you open up on that window? Open up on this window. No, it still works. I'm not sure why you're not able to change that. I would probably uninstall and reinstall and install the latest beta. There's really, I don't think there's any reasons on not running the beta right now. Is there any tuner where you don't have to buy credits? Probably not. Nowadays, there might be some where it's you buy the tuner and it does marriage to the ECU. There's some others out there like PCM Hammer and LS Droid. Do your search on those. They're out there. They're usable. They don't have the support level that you get on HP tuners. The credits really isn't a big ordeal unless you're tuning some of this stuff that requires 8, 10, 20 credits. Thoughts on a big block Chevy short stroked with flat plane crank? I think that'd be awesome. I think, though, with the big block Chevy, you might have some issues making decent power because generally flat plane cranks don't like big slugs on them. So small, and that's why the new Chevy's a 5.5 liter instead of a 6 or a 6.2 or something like that. It gets to a point where it's too much reciprocating mass, and the way it's designed, it doesn't work that well. You don't see a lot of big displacements. Well, I guess you could run a small displacement big block Chevy, but you probably are better off running a small block with flat plane. Best flex fuel intake pump for 6 liter with future forced induction. A lot of recommendation for the Walbro 525. 525 is pretty good. 425 would get you a lot of headroom even. Depending on how much power you're looking to make, Danny, you're probably fine up to 1,000 horsepower with a 425. I don't know. I'd have to do the math. Fuel pump count. See what old DeechWorks is. Input, turbocharged gasoline, ethanol, E85, 800. Let's put this at 53 base pressure, 10 psi boost. So 400 liters per hour will get you 800 horsepower. So basically double the pump rating. So 525 would get you over 1,000 horsepower. Just quick and dirty math. Wait a second, you can't change the torque tables with new download. Yeah, I will follow up. That's got to be a glitch. Okay, let me ask you this, TJ. Have you tried the new base instead of the new beta? I'm over here saying that you're fine running the beta, then I find out you can't edit the torque tables. Jonathan, virtual torque is part of the trans shifting stuff. So if you start having trans issues, and generally you have to be over 1,000 horsepower before you really need to mess with it, you should adjust your virtual torque tables much like you would on 5th gen so that they're realistic, and then see if that helps with the that stuff. Okay, Andrews says right here that it's couldn't change it on the latest non-beta. Mason, I got rid of the Silverado last year. Sold it to a guy in Kansas. Have an 06 GTO 403, pretty good size cam. M311 heads, etc., etc. VE table only goes to 6,800. 06 GTO. So, was the 06 the E40? I don't remember. Help me out here, people. Because I can't remember if that would be an E38 or an E40. Because if it was an E38, you'd be on virtual VE. Okay, so an E40. Let me look. I got a 2005 GTO here. Yep. That's just the max of the table. Shouldn't be, okay, so, and that table's not editable on the E40. Shouldn't be an issue. It's just, remember, it's going to kind of interpolate beyond that point. It's not just going to, like, say there's no data here and drop off. So if you're to look at the table graph and see where it goes out, here, let me show you. Let me go back to the whiteboard and let's do this. Okay. Graph. See where this continues to go out? Here's 6,500 here. See this trend? That trend's going to carry out beyond that 6,500. So, and theoretically, you're losing the airflow efficiency up there anyways. So that's fine if that carries out. If whenever you dial this thing in, you get all the way up and it's trending up, that just means it's going to carry out and keep on going out beyond that. So should be fine. I wouldn't go a huge amount of RPMs past that. Yeah, TJ, that's why I was wondering if the 340s would be better, because they're a little bit more known quantities. Sean says he's been running twin 450s. No problem. Anyone here know if the ZL1 fuel pump will swap out with the SS Camaro for a DI system? Should. Well, Scott asked about lean out the idle. It's very rich, not even registering. It should be on your VE table. I mean, once you get past a certain point, like a couple minutes, it gets out of the startup cycle, you're running off your VE table. So you need to lean out your VE table. Yeah, Mason. I've had like 4 vehicles since then. I missed so much stuff here. Okay. Been dealing with this for about 6 months and I'm up to 350 credits. Started when we had to take the course on lock stuff. I've not had that issue. I mean, I don't know what version I'm on over here, but it's not that old. I can tell you that. Let's see if it's got a date. I'm on 1319 and it's on 1452, so it's not real old. This is the first time hearing about it. I'll dig around. BMLMZ, how do you feel about running E2030 on a stock 3rd gen Coyote tune? Hey man, so Ford, do the flex fuel tune. Like, Ford's ECM will support flex fuel even if it didn't support flex fuel from factory. There's a couple parameters. I did it on my GT350. Essentially, it uses the oxygen sensors to determine that the fuel has changed, and you can see it actually make adjustments on there. So E20, E30 would be no issue. Yeah, it shouldn't be an issue. Danny, run the ZL1 pump. Run a Z06 pump. They may be the same as a ZL1 pump. Learns too fast before the E gets through the PI and DI. Oh, Andrew, that might be a good question because I do have an interface hooked up over here. Doop, 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 doop. Check out those mosquito bites. That's what going to Oklahoma gets you. Ugh. Correct. 340 Stealth is my go-to pump. And it will handle a lot. 600. It'll handle about 600 on the 85. LTG engines. Which one is that? Is that the 4-cylinder or the 6-cylinder? It should. That's something's up on the relearn time. I didn't have any issues with that. I know that it only triggers for like 10 minutes after you fill up. So, inside baseball for the Ford stuff, for the guys that don't know, whenever the stock ECU can learn what basically is going on, and it looks at your fuel level. And so whenever it sees the fuel level change a percentage of total fuel volume or something like that, it'll go through and do another relearn to figure out what essentially octane that you're running. But I never had any issues with it not doing it in 10 minutes. Like, in 10 minutes, you should have the lines cleared out and be running fuel in there. It should only take it about a minute or two before it's running the new blend that's in the tank. But you're saying that the trims are plus 30 until you trigger a relearn. That's crazy. No, Felix, I've not messed around with them any. I've thought about it. Negative 20. What are you talking about, TJ? Oh, stupid mosquito bites. Silverado got it up and running with the single turbo setup, running speed density. Having issues leaning out when it hits boost. Been adding fuel in the VVE ballpark. What should I add? Hey, Brandon, just make sure that you've got the math failed. Math failed. If the math is not failed, if you don't have that check engine light, the math is not failed. And I see it too many times that people go in and they'll set that fail parameter, and then they'll clear the DTC or they'll uncheck SES for P0103, and doing that puts the math back in. And so making changes to the VE table have a significantly reduced effect because the math is still there trying to make adjustments. Elite Tuning School. I've heard of them. I did one of their classes, I think. I did their free class. But it's been so long ago, I don't really have any feedback. So. Wait a second, are you not on a Mustang? What are you tuning, BMLMZ? You're talking about an LT4 and a Coyote. You got my head spinning. 829, you guys know what that means. It's about time to wrap it up. Oh, Yona ZL1 and a Coyote. Must be a tough life. Wait, hold on a second, though. They're only able to get E30 out of my Maggie 2650, and they got you to E50. Are you talking about, on injectors, running out of injector? Man, Brandon, I don't know, how much are you bumping it up? Yeah, there's some things that you can do on fuel timing, fuel pressure, stuff like that to squeeze it out. Just be careful, man. You get to, yeah. Well, I don't know that they know more about SOE, EOI than anyone else, but I don't talk about it on here much. But it's been around for almost a decade where people have been adjusting SOI, EOI to get more fuel out. Oh, yeah, negative 20 washer fluid. Gotcha. The blue stuff. I forgot you can't get that down in Texas. Did you buy a case of it? I need to go pick up a fresh case. Hey, man, you're going into boosted setup, Brandon. You may have to add more than 10% up there. 10 cases. You're an animal. Sweet. What's the pulse width look like at wide open throttle with that? You hitting 6.5 milliseconds? 5.1. Oh man, you got plenty of room. Pulley that thing down. Yeah, pulley that thing down. Make more power. Use the blue stuff. Yeah, the negative 20 is the blue stuff, but in some states they don't sell it because of the methanol content. Okay. Right now, low side. Oh, no cam either. Yeah. I'd definitely get over to a multi-lobe cam. Get off the 3-lobe. Okay, cool. So, we're going to wrap it up. Thanks for everybody that showed up. Thanks for everybody that's new. Hit that thumbs up button before you get out of here. Listen, we'll be back next Thursday talking about tuning, answering questions. If I don't have an answer, somebody in the chat will. That's it. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for all the new faces. It's awesome seeing new faces on here. You guys know the drill. Thanks for stopping by the garage. Remember, ABT, always be tuning.